hello, how are you? I'm Pia, and I read 16 books in April. I was looking back, I was like going through April and I was like, why am I not reading a lot of books? Then you get to the end of the month and you're like, wow, I had finals this month. I don't know what I was doing, but I don't think I read a lot of like books that I adored and that I really enjoyed. Don't think it was the headspace. I would love to blame school, as I would love to blame that all my problems on school. I don't think that's realistic. So we're gonna talk about the books I've read. I will give you all my thoughts and opinions. You can take them or leave them. I don't care. Let's do it. If you do not already, make sure to follow me, friend me. I really don't remember, on Goodreads. I think it's down below. The first 3 books that I'm going to talk about together because I'm doing an entire video with them, so I don't want to talk too much about them. I read the first 3 James Potter books. I did not get to all 5 this month. Who in their right mind thought, oh Pia, you're going to read an entire 5-book series when I can't finish a series anyway? Like, what? So that is James Potter and the Hall of Elders Crossing. Jesus Christ, I literally forgot how to read. James Potter and the Curse of the Gatekeeper, and James Potter and the Vault of Destinies. Now, I gave the first book 4 out of 5 stars and the other 2 3 out of 5 stars. If there's anything wrong with them, I'm actually having a really fun time reading these books and spinning, apparently, doing this video. It's just taking a long time because I get so bored of everything. That video will be out at some point. Hopefully. Then I picked up The Swimmers on a whim because sometimes I just like pick things up and I'm like, this cover looks fun, I think I've heard of it. This one, like in particular, was super short, so it was very appealing to me, and my library had the audiobook, so I was like, I'm just gonna read it. And holy guacamole. This kind of like tore my heart out, and like I definitely sobbed. So the first part of this book, it's about swimmers. So the first part is about like their daily routine, and there ends up being this like crack in the pool, and it really shakes things up for these people that religiously go swimming every morning, have this kind of community, and it changes a lot of things. So then the second part is about this woman whose mom was a religious swimmer, and her mom has dementia and she is going into a home, and it's kind of talking about this young woman's life as she is putting her mother in this home. And it's very interesting because you feel not only as the daughter, but you feel like the woman because you were like, oh, I know her life and all that she accomplished and experienced. And there is this kind of combative nature that dementia can sometimes take on. And a long story short, this really did me a lot, especially since I didn't know that it was about this in any way. My grandma, my nana, is 92 and she has dementia, and so it just felt very real to me and made me very sad and very emotional, and made me think about a lot of things that I don't particularly enjoy to dwell on or think about. So I give it 5 out of 5 stars. I think it did a beautiful job. It's in no way saying like I was upset at this book. Like it did what it was trying to do, you know. I think even people who haven't gone through having an older kind of person in their life who is at that kind of later stages, I think that it shows a good depiction of that and helps maybe other people understand that. So I did give it 5 out of 5 stars. But yeah, it was very surprising. I think I've said this before, I love picking up books on a whim. I love TBRs, I really do. I have such like strict video TBRs and like things that I want to do with specific things, so it kind of does derail my plans sometimes. I get so much joy out of just like picking a book up and reading it for the sake of being interested in it in the moment and having it be a little bit of a win. So then I have another book that didn't really work out though. I read One Italian Summer. Ooh, yeah. No. This had a lot of promise to me. I'm Italian and I love books set in Italy. I just think it's like one of the most beautiful places. Just feel a special connection to books set in Italy, and this is set in Italy if you couldn't fucking tell. It's interesting because it's a story about grief, and I love reading stories about grief. Not in a sad way, but just how different people cope and deal with their lives and go on with their lives after experiencing loss, I think is just so fascinating. And she, our main character, ends up going to Italy, and she never went to Italy, and her mom was always talking about her like time in Italy and how great it was and how much it impacted her life, and her and her daughter had never ended up going. So her daughter ends up going, and she meets this woman who is like this younger version of her mom. I don't know, I don't like a lot of things about this book. And it's very interesting to unravel, I guess, the things, but ultimately I don't like time travel all the time because I think that sometimes it's not done very well. This is a case of that. So it's like a very slippery slope for me, and since I didn't really know this was about time travel, I guess I should have predicted it, being that the author's last book also dealt with a kind of like time loop, time trap. Like, you don't explain the rules, then I don't understand. So I probably should have predicted that, but I got too excited about an Italy novel. Anyway, so I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. It was really disappointing. I mean, I didn't have high expectations, but I was not enjoying my time reading this at all. So then I read Ace, What Asexuality Reveals About Desire, Society, and the Meaning of Sex. I loved this book. I didn't vlog reading this, I don't think. So you didn't see me read it, but I did tab it. Lots of purple tabs because purple, thank you. I don't tab a lot of books. I have been more recently. The book is very special to me. I am asexual, so I really was excited to pick up a non-fiction about asexuality. It really made me rethink and think beyond my own person, which I think is great, and I think that's what all non-fiction books should do. It made me think a lot about just sexuality in general and different people in the ace community, how they have, you know, so many labels and how they feel being either apart or ostracized by the community, and it was so interesting. Yeah, I really love this. I think I said in my review, I recommend this to aces and allos alike, allos being allosexual. It has some really great quotes. I mean, I'm not gonna like read out my quotes to you or like what really struck home for me. I definitely teared up a lot in this, and there's some upsetting stories. There's a lot of like, the author interviewed a lot of different people in the community and they all told their stories, and it was so interesting, but obviously there's lots of difficult things that they talk about, and yeah, it was really wonderful. It makes me want to read more nonfiction if it's more like this, and I highly recommend this book. If you take anything out of this video, please read this book. Then I read The Sea of Tranquility. This is the author of The Glass Hotel and Station 11, which are two books that I have not read, but I have heard like amazing things about. I picked this up and it was so interesting. This is when I say like, I don't like time travel unless it's done well, and this was done very well. This is kind of hard to explain. We have a couple different perspectives, lots of different timelines, but we do follow a time traveler, but it's mostly about different pandemics in time, and it is so interesting because it does have a 2020 perspective. It almost has like a character who is just like the author, which I found so interesting, because if you didn't know, the author's not previous book, but I think the one before that was Station 11, which is a novel about a pandemic, and it came out many years before, oh gosh, I'm gonna be flagged, the pandemonium that broke out in 2020. And so she kind of had a character like herself, and there was just this really interesting and like uplifting message about how time moves on and how people survive, grow, and sustain themselves, and it was really lovely to read. It's a kind of shorter book. I think it might get confusing if you read it too fast or if you're not fully paying attention. I listened to the audiobook and I really enjoyed it. There's a few different narrators for the audiobook, which like time and space and that sort of shit gets confusing on audio, which I'm totally understand that I can. Maybe you want to read along or something like that, but I definitely recommend this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think that it was so surprising to me because I don't think I knew anything about it going into it, and I knew it came out and I was like, I'll just pick it up, and guys, that is the best way to do it. I really enjoyed it. It was such an interesting story, and yeah, I would definitely read more from this author. This will come as no surprise to anyone if you've seen my last few videos, but I did reread the Heartstopper series. I have the first 2 books here, which were gifted to me by a lovely subscriber, Charlie. If you are still watching, thank you so much. You are the most gracious person in the entire world. And yeah, so I reread these books, all 4 of them. I just on these 2. Preparation for the series, I have a whole video of rereading and then watching the series and reacting to it. If YouTube would stay on the internet, then you can go watch that. But yeah, I love these books. I gave books 1, 2, and 3 4 stars, and book 4 5 stars. I have kept kind of my rating for the series. I thought it was going to change, but didn't. So yeah, I love the 4th volume. It's my absolute favorite. Not saying that I don't love the other ones, because like I obviously do. I actually really want to get the other 2, but like they're sold out everywhere, so we'll have to wait on that, I guess. Fantastic. Do I have to say more? No. Then I picked up A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. It's the first book in the Reluctant Royalist series. Now, I don't think I've ever read a book that is a mass market paperback, and it's not my favorite reading experience, but someone did already crack this mine when I bought this because it was used. I do love buying used books. Someone is mowing their lawn. I really enjoyed this. This is like a very fun premise. It's about a African prince who sends these emails, well, his like assistant sends these emails to this woman, and she keeps getting them in her inbox. It's like, oh, we need you to send our social security information so you can marry this prince. And she's like, this is fucking spam, like fuck off. And it's not spam because it's a real prince and he's in love with her. Anyway, so there's a lot of like fun things like that, but it is really fun. It's like great to see like our main character is like a woman in the sciences. All science things just go over my head, so I could not be more specific than that. So they have a fun like kind of like mistaken identity kind of trope, and connection is really strong and really nice. I liked it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I might continue on with the series. I believe the last book is queer, and I know that it centers around a character that we've already met. I'm not sure who the second book follows, but I actually do want to continue on the series. I might read them on audio though, just because that is how I tend to enjoy things. But also this reading experience is just not my favorite. And the people on the plane, I don't know if they were looking at me weird. I don't know if I care actually, but I also don't want to break this mind that I DNF'd a book. I only DNF'd 1 book this month, which is kind of astounding for me. I DNF'd Last House on Needless Street. This book. I feel so bad because I just watched Olivia Reads a Latte's video, Olivia, and she was talking about how much she loved this book, and I was like, oh my god, I couldn't get through it. The thing about this book is I was really intrigued. I don't even know what this is. It's kind of like a gothic horror. It's not really horror though. I love mysteries, I love creepy things, but I am so hard to please, truly, with thrillers, mysteries, or even I want to fall in love with one day. So I read this and it is like about this guy who lives on the last house on the end of the street. It's also about his cat. I was like, oh, the cat has a perspective. This is fantastic. I was so freaking down. And I was like, yes, queen. But I still couldn't get through this. It was so slow and slogging. And you know, like something happened, right? That's like their whole thing. It's like, ooh, like let's throw in a little. But it wasn't enough that I was like so freaking dying and intrigued that I needed to find out what this mystery was or this crime or whatever the fuck is going on in this book, because literally most of it is like nothing happening and I just don't have time for that. I got through 44% of this book. It's not even a long book. That's actually kind of upsetting. It also says the story of a serial killer, where it's like nothing is explicitly said. It's just kind of like all these weird creepy things going on. There's also like animal abuse or animal violence, and I just don't like that. I don't like when it's just like the vibes, but not like telling me what's going on. The last 3 books I have here I read for Spring Fling-O-Ween, and I have a vlog reading them, so I will briefly let you know my thoughts. First here we have The Lion's Den. This I picked up because of Olivia Reads a Latte. She's getting a lot of love in this video, is she not? This is a readathon hosted by Gabby Reads and Olivia Reads a Latte. Cannot not shout out the other co-creator. This is about this young woman who gets the opportunity to go to fucking sweaty back. Who gets the opportunity to go on a yacht with her like kind of friend from childhood, but like they're not really friends anymore, and she kind of sucks. And it's this weird group of people. It's like this friend's mom and her sister, and then like her sister's friend, and then some other friends, and everyone's just basically fake and annoying. And then we also flash back in time where we're counting down to this trip because there's something that happened. Well, there's a lot of shady shit going on in here. I was looking for this to be more fun than it was. It deals a lot with like sexual assaults, and just thought it would be like fun can't call murder fun, Pia. Okay, I thought it would be like more like quirky and fun than like just so tense. And yeah, I don't know. The last 100 pages of this were fun and exciting. I mean, nothing was like something I could have predicted, and I saw everything coming, but the first 200 pages were so boring. You're just leading up, you're just giving me all of the gosh darn backstory, and it took forever. Yeah, I give this 3 stars. Then She Was Gone by Lisa Joel. I've heard this is like a basically like a pretty well-read book in the kind of like thriller mystery category. So I picked this up, I read it on audio to hopefully get the creepy crawlies, spooky scaries. So this is about a mom whose daughter disappeared in 2005. It's now 15 years later, I believe, and she meets this guy and they start dating, and he has a daughter who looks just like her daughter that went missing, but her daughter would be like 25 or 20. Oh no, maybe it's 10 years later. And she's like, what? How does that work? Because like his daughter's like 15. And there's like a bunch of like, this is like family drama heavy. Like all of the different family connections. I was like, whose daughter is this? Whose stepdaughter? I got so not confused, but like it was a lot. It was a lot. I mean, it was interesting to see like all these different types of family relationships and all these types of like mother-daughter relationships. But really it's like a kidnapping. Like I was like, can we get back to it's a crime and not like you all like living happily ever after having this weird family. That's what I felt. Give it 2 stars. That summer. This again kind of bamboozled me. It really catfished me, to say the least. I went into this thinking it would be a lot like Big Summer, which is her previous book, which was so fun. Like that is what I want in like a thriller, mystery, whatever. Fun and spicy, and it was a good time. It's heavy and it's slow. It's about something that happened that summer and it affected this woman a lot. And she decided to make some choices after that. I also follow 2 other perspectives. Like, I just don't know what went wrong exactly with this book. It might be that it's too long. I just don't like not liking things. And it's hard for me to be like, I didn't like this because I did really enjoy that this is set in Cape Cod, which is a town that I'm very familiar with. It's set like literally in the tri-state area basically. They go to New York City, they go to Philly, they talk about Trenton. Like they go everywhere in the tri-state area that I've grown up in my entire life, so I loved that. Also, it was weird, but I also loved it. Other than that, it was kind of, I just think it was like overwritten. I think it definitely could have used some more editing and it would have felt more fast-paced. I don't think the story necessarily didn't have to be a story, but it also like reminded me a lot of that YA I read a little bit ago called Foul is Fair, which is a Macbeth retelling, and I felt like it could have done with a lot more of the kind of dramatics and gore maybe, rather than this like fun fluffy kind of thing, because it's dealing with some really heavy topics. I just think that it could have like gone further with some of the things. There's also trigger warning for sexual assault. That is the thing that happened that summer. I don't want to spoil it, but like that is the thing that happened that summer, and talked about the entire novel. So if you cannot handle that, please do not read this book, because yeah, it's quite heavy-handed in that regard. So sorry to end on a bad note, but anyway, hoping to read some more fun and fabulous books in May. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, let me know what you guys read in April. Was it a good reading month for you? I just feel like I'm in that kind of like mid-year slump. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, do all of the things, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!